thumbs up that that's the case. Perfect, I love it. Gorgeous faces. All right, let's start. Okay, so like I said, whatever comfortable crisscross of the ankles or feet is good for you. Just move the thighs and the hips aside a little bit so that you're sitting on your sit bones, and then that should encourage you just to be able to grow nice and tall and find length. Hands, you can rest them lightly on the tops of the knees. And then if you're comfortable too, I'll invite you to close your eyes. You can just dip the chin ever so slightly, just as long as it doesn't encourage you to slouch and lean forward. So if you're dipping the chin, think about the crown of the head still lifting up nice and high. So you should maybe just feel like a little stretch at the back of the neck. And as you sit here, think about, let's work from the ground up. So just be mindful or pay attention to any parts of you that are in connection with the ground. So depending on how you're sitting, definitely it's going to be the sit bones across the back of the hips, maybe a portion of the feet or the ankles, perhaps some of the thigh, perhaps some of the calf, just depending on how you're sitting. So feel that nice connection. Think of it as a foundation. This is your stable base. And we can check in with those as we do some of the other poses as well. So it's useful just to remind yourself that you've got the ground there as support. Starting to drift upwards a little bit. As much as you can, let the knees relax. And I know sometimes the hips are a little bit fussy and it's not always comfortable to hold this position for any extended period of time. So we won't be here for too much longer, but see if the knees will allow a little bit of gentle relaxation creeping in. Working up the body a little bit more, bring in a touch of firmness through the middle. So maybe it's a case of drawing the belly button in and up. You might notice that the rib cage lifts a little bit. Still thinking of extending all the way up the back towards the crown of the head. And then lastly, imagine you've got some little magnets on your elbows and they're being drawn down towards the ground. Notice how the shoulders melt away from your ears while you're still sitting tall. So you're creating more space, shoulders to ears. Awesome. And now that you find ideally a nice comfortable seat, bring your attention into the gentle movement of your ribs. As the breath enters and leaves your body, you should have a nice rhythmical breath cycle. And we're going to check in with the breathing as we go through the practice as well. Some of the stronger poses might encourage you, without noticing, just to catch your breath and hold it. So I'll remind you to make sure that you are still breathing. And in this style of practice, we use breath in and out through the nose so that you stay hydrated and it's nice and warming and calming as well. Awesome stuff. All right, gently blink your eyes open, or you can keep them closed if you prefer. We're going to gently tilt the head across to the right-hand side. Keep the left shoulder drop down if you can. Just let the weight of the head do the work. So a gentle stretch to the side. And then we'll tilt it across to the other side. So we're starting to mobilize the spine, bring a bit of movement in through the joints. Tilt it back in the first direction. I'll give you the option this time to bring one hand onto the shoulder and the other hand onto the temple, and just very gently stretch those 2 points across. If you prefer to keep the hands on the knees, you can do that. Let's change sides, and again the option, one hand on the shoulder, one hand on the temple, just gently pulling the 2 points apart. Shouldn't feel any discomfort, this should just be facilitating the stretch. Good, gently release, bring the hands back to the knees. Chin down, let the head roll forward. So you're looking down to the gap between the legs, maybe getting a stretch through the back of the neck. Then gently, gently lift the chin up, only to the point that you can still comfortably breathe. Let the shoulders still relax back and down, so you're not letting any tension creep into the upper body. Lifting the chin, creating space for the neck. And then gently come back to your neutral position, so chin parallel with the floor. Beautiful. Let's sweep the arms up and around, take them wide, and as you lift them, breathe in. Connect the palms, exhale, lower them down to the center of the chest. Good, let's take another one. Release the hands wide as you reach up, breathe in. Maybe this time you take a look up towards your fingers. Grab a hold of one wrist and you're going to pull that wrist across to the side. Keep the opposite sit bone still grounded into the floor. Nice, well done. Up to center, maybe you look up towards the hands, grab the other wrist, pull it across to the side. Keep that sit bone on the floor. Awesome, and then release it down here. Perfect. I'm going to quickly tilt across to the side. So staying in your seated position, lead with your abdomen and chest, and you're going to lean forward. So let your head and shoulders be the last thing to ripple forwards. You can place the hands on the ground if you wish to, And then lead with the abdomen and lower back. You're going to roll backwards. So your head and shoulders are the last thing to lean back. Rippling forwards again, leading with the chest and abdomen, rolling forwards, using the range at your hips. And then leading with the lower back, leaning backwards. Good, let's take one more, make it a little bit bigger. Lead with the lower body first, so we're articulating the spine. Let the head drop down when you're ready. Lead with the lower body again, rolling all the way back. Nice, awesome stuff. Come to sit upright. You're going to extend one leg this time. Keep the other ankle tucked in towards your side. So if you want to mirror me, that's absolutely fine. Okay, perfect. The leg that you have extended, turn your toes up towards the ceiling. We're going to turn the chest towards that straight leg and lean forwards into it. So you might feel a little inner thigh stretch. You can use your hands on the leg to guide you down. So you're looking towards your ankle, so the chest is turning towards your extended leg. Then that opposite hand, you're going to place behind the hip, leading with the other hand, reach up and over. So you can allow your extended ankle to pivot onto the ground. So we're opening up this side of the body. As you come to sit back down, we're going to turn the chest over that extended leg again. Maybe you reach a little further forward, exhaling on the way down. Hand behind the hip, open up chest and shoulders, breathe in as you reach and lengthen. One more time, sweep it round. Maybe you move a little bit quicker, maybe you can reach a little further. Exhale, and then sweep it back, breathe in and lift. Open up the body. Stunning, let's change the legs around. So whatever ankle you have near your hips, swap it round, extend the other. We'll quickly check in with dialing the toes up, turning the chest towards the extended leg, gently leaning forward first time. So hamstrings, maybe a bit on the inner thigh. You might feel it towards the lower back and side of the body. So we're using a lovely exhale to soften down towards the leg. And we're going to take the opposite hand behind the hip. The other hand reaches up and over, breathe in as you stretch. Opening up the hips and side of the body. Exhale, sweep it round, take the chest over your extended leg again. Maybe you can reach a little further. Next breath in, let's open up, sweep to the side, lift the hips, using the glutes to get the hips high, and exhale, roll it down. Beautiful, when you can reach a little further. One more time, hand to the side, lift up, breathe in, awesome, and sink it down. Nice. All right, determine which is going to be the front edge of your mat. And you're going to take your right knee and lower leg and line it up parallel with the front edge of your mat. So here's my front edge, my lower leg is parallel. I'm shifting my hips of that leg right to the edge of the mat, and the other shin is now parallel with the long edge. So I've made two 90-degree angles here at my knees. Whatever tweaks and adjustments you need to take with the hips, just so that it fits comfortably for you, you can do that. We're going to turn the chest towards the front knee and gently take a lean forwards. Just the point where you feel a stretch, maybe it's around the thigh, maybe it's around the hip. We're keeping the body long as we soften down. Breathing in, we'll come to sit upright. Then turn your chest towards the gap between your knee and your ankle. You can hold on to those points as you lean forward and come low, exhaling as you go down. Notice how the stretch changes in the hip joint. Breathe in to sit upright. Now turn your chest between the left knee and left ankle and lower down. It's going to be much smaller. Tiny, tiny movement. Might even feel a little bit awkward. Sitting back up as you breathe in. Let's turn the chest between the gap of the knee and the ankle again. Rolling forwards. Breathing in to lift. Finally, we'll turn back towards the right knee. Exhale, roll it forwards. Yes. Nice job. Breathe in and lift. Okay, we need to rotate the knees. So chances are, if you keep your feet in that same position, just turn your knees up and over. You'll end up with that 90-degree bend again at the knees. This time, left shin parallel with the top edge of your mat, right shin parallel with the long edge. Shuffle on the hips as much as you need to so that it fits comfortably for you. Take a breath in, lean the chest over your left knee. Feel the stretch through the hips, through the glutes, gently exhaling as you lower down. Breathing in, we'll lift up. Turning the chest towards the gap between the ankle and the knee this time. You can anchor onto those points. Breathing out, slowly lower down. Inhaling, we lift back up. This time the chest is turning towards the gap between the right knee and the ankle and gently lean forwards. Notice how it's much smaller. Unless you've got amazing mobility at the hips, this will be tiny. Breathe in to come upright. We're back between the gap between ankle and knee. Exhale, roll forward. Awesome. Breathe in to lift. Lastly, back over the left knee. Breathe out and lower down. Gently lift. Nice. Okay, pivot back round. 90 degrees. So we're turning towards the front edge of our mat and we're going to come into tabletop. So pick your knees up, come onto all fours. Beautiful. Hands shoulder distance apart. And you're going to stack your shoulders over your wrists, spread your fingertips wide, hips over the knees, and that's hip distance apart. We're going to take a lovely deep stretch as we roll forwards. So use the range at your wrists, allowing the hips to lower as much as is comfortable for you. Start to lift the chest if that feels good. And then as you tip the hips back, you'll find yourself in a child's pose. So you'll reach forward. Good. Now, child's pose is a natural resting pose. So at any point that you feel you need a break or a little bit of space, come back to this one or any other pose that you feel good. Walk the hands a little bit further in front of you. We're going to ripple forwards again. So use the range of the wrists one more time. Allow the hips to sink down. The chest starts to lift. We're bringing in that back bend. Think about broadening the collarbone and drawing the shoulders back behind you. And then send the hips over the heels again. Reaching forward, child's pose. Taking a nice stretch through the shoulders. Awesome stuff. Well done. Tuck your toes here. Keep your hands in that same position. Start to lift the legs, straighten the hips, and then pull back into your heels. So you'll end up in an upside down V, which is our downward facing dog. We're going to take a little walk, bend and extend each leg here. So you're drawing the ankle down of the leg that's straight, letting the other knee just gently bend. Draw the other ankle down of the leg that's straight as the opposite knee gently bends. So take as many as you need, pedal it out, bend and extend each side. And then as you start to settle, bring your feet into stillness. Know that it's okay if your heels don't touch the ground. And if you need a little bend in the knee to be kinder to the hamstrings, you can do that too. We're going to take the right leg initially, lifting it up and back. Bend the right knee, bringing the heel towards your hips. And then keep the heel as close to the hips as you can, but rotate the knee. Make as big a circle with the knee as you can. And it doesn't matter what direction, because once you've done 2 or 3 in one direction, we're going to change it. So whether you're going clockwise or anti-clockwise, it's okay. So opposite rotation now. Make as big a circle as you can, thinking about keeping the heel glued in towards your hips as your knee goes wide, forward and down. Good, well done. Change legs for me. So we're going to drop the right leg back down towards the ground. Find your downward facing dog. Left leg up and back. Bend the knee, the heel comes towards the hips. And then whatever direction comes first for your hip circles, taking up as much space with your knee as you can. Let your hips release any cracks that come naturally. My left one is clicking away. And after 2 or 3, change directions. Send the knee as wide, as high, and as low as comes naturally for you. Awesome, well done. Good, we'll take the pressure off the wrists in just a second. Left foot back down to the ground. Let's take the right leg again, lifting it up and back. This time keep it straight. So we're making as much space, lifting our right toes high towards the ceiling. Right knee then comes in towards your chest. Ripple forwards to plank, come high on your left toes. And when you're ready, take a big step forward with the right leg. So your right leg's going to end up in between your hands. The knee is over the ankle and we'll gently sink down to let the left knee come to the ground. Release the toes. Beautiful. Breathing in, the fingertips lift. This is our low lunge position. Thumbs are above the shoulders. Shoulders are above the hips. We're aiming to let the hips sink down towards the mat. Good. All right, so take a breath in, reach the fingertips nice and high. On the out breath, your left hand is going to reach forward. Your right hand reaches back and you let the shoulders rotate. So long arms, think about stretching them lengthwise on your mat. Breathe in to come back upright. Square your shoulders to the front of the mat. And exhale, rotate again. Left hand forward, right hand back. Spread your fingertips as wide as you can. Breathe in once more, lifting the fingertips up. Square your shoulders. And now you're going to find a little bit of steadiness. If you need to place your hands on the ground at this stage, do. If you can, you're going to tuck your back toe, straighten the back leg so you lift up by a couple of inches. Yes, there we go, high lunge. This time as we exhale, we're going to bring the hands to prayer in the center of the chest. Now take a look at your right knee, then your left elbow, and you're going to bring the 2 to touch. So you might just need a little lean forward, elbow to knee. Bring the hands back to the center of your chest, lift your right elbow, loop your shoulder back and rotate again. Powerful back leg. It's long, strong and straight. You're high up on your back toes as you enjoy this twist. Still thinking about sinking the hips forward and down. Good. Release the twist. Come back to center. Square your chest and shoulders to the front. Awesome. Breathe in, fingertips up. Breathe out, fingertips down, all the way to the mat. Yes. Once you've got your weight through your palms, send your right leg back into plank. If you need to take a little bit of a walk to release the tension in the legs, you can do that. Soften the knees to the ground. Release your toes. Tuck your elbows into your body. Breathe out and lower down. All the way we go. Awesome. Send your hands forward and wide and gently ripple up. So a wide arm cobra. So we're going to sink the body a little bit lower than normal cobra because the hands are wider and further forward. So the hips are down, the legs are down, maybe even the lower belly is down. Good, well done. Breathe out and release back to the floor. Bring your hands just underneath your ribcage. Tuck your toes. We're going to come through a tabletop. Then extend the legs, lift the hips, and lower the heels. Downward facing dog again. Pedal it out if you need to. Bend and extend each leg. Think long through the spine, long through the legs. And when you're ready, find stillness. Awesome job. Left leg this time, up and back, long line, keep it straight. Send your toes to the sky. Then with a breath in, you're going to bring the knee to your chest. Ripple forwards to plank, come high on your right toes and step your left foot through between your hands. Awesome. So we're looking again, left knee over the ankle, gently release the right knee down towards the mat. Soften your toes, good job. Breathe in and the fingertips lift, high lunge. So hips and shoulders are square, but we're letting the hips sink down. Breathing in, the fingertips are high. And on the exhale, your right hand reaches forward, your left hand reaches back. Open the shoulders and rotate. Good, nice. Feel the stretch through the chest. Breathe in, we lift again, fingertips high, square chest and shoulders. And on the exhale, let's open up once more. Right hand forward, left hand back. Good, well done. Try and soften the shoulders if you can. You're doing really well. On the next inhale, lift the fingertips up, square the hips and shoulders. And again, if you need to place your hands on the mat for extra balance, you can do that. Tuck your right toe, straighten the back leg, come up a couple of inches. Good, high lunge, well done. Find your balance. Hands come down to the center of the chest, connect your palms. So this time we're taking a look at the left knee, then the right elbow, and we're going to make a connection between the two. Maybe a little lean forwards to get there. Elbow to the outside edge of the knee, bring the hands to the center of the chest. Looking sideways or up is an option for you. Left elbow is high, left shoulder loops back. Feel the power through your back leg. It's long, strong and straight, and you're still breathing, right? Good, really nice. All right, let's square back up to the center. So return facing the front of the mat, breathe in, the fingertips lift. And on the exhale, the hands lower down, all the way to the mat. Yes, step the left foot back to plank. Give it a little walk out if you need to. And then when you're ready, release the knees to the mat. Soften the toes, elbows tucked tight. Exhale, lower down. Good. Walk the hands again to the front edge of your mat, nice and wide. And we'll curl ourselves up, wide arm cobra. So again, lower with the belly, lower with the hips. Once you're here, just be careful you're not propping yourself up on your shoulders. Tuck the elbows under, you'll feel the chest lift a little bit more and you'll be stronger through the shoulders. Good. Breathe out and lower down. Hands underneath the ribcage, tuck your toes, come through tabletop and then lift up and back, downward facing dog. Well done. Good work. If you need a quick sip of water, take it. We're going to stay in this position for a couple of breaths. So if you notice you're getting warm, maybe you need to shed a layer of clothing if it's appropriate. Or like I said, have a sip of water. Okay, if you're ready to move on. Oh, well, sounds stripping off. All right, so from downward facing dog, we're going to do a little sequence with our right side. So when you're ready, lift the right leg long and strong behind you. Let's keep the legs straight, sending your right toes to the sky. Then the right knee towards your chest. Ripple forwards to plank, up high on your left toes. Then step through or help it along if you need. Perfect, well done. Good, everybody's got that. Nice. We'll take a breath and go straight into high lunge this time. So we keep the back leg lifted. As we inhale, the fingertips rise and you're reaching yourself up towards the sky. Now with the slightest rotation, we're going to turn to the left. As that happens, the back heel comes to the floor. Release your arms horizontal, but keep the shoulders over the hips. So it's just a little rotation of the body. This is warrior two. Perfect. Now, as much as the strength of your front leg allows, sink low into this one. 90 degrees if you can, or a little bit more upright if you need to. From warrior two, we're going to come to extended side angle. So the right palm you're going to flip up, place the forearm on your knee, and take a reach up and over with your left hand. So from left toes to left hand is one long diagonal line. And like we did in Cobra, watch that you're not dropping into your right shoulder. So add a bit of pressure, right elbow to knee. Try and lift your left shoulder up towards the sky. Good. Keep the leg position where it is. You're going to windmill your hands back to warrior two. So use your abdominal muscles up and over. Beautiful. Shoulders return above the hips. Nice. Let's go back to extended side angle. When you're ready, flip your right palm up. Right elbow to the knee. Lift the left arm up and over. Good. Now I want you to try and lift your left hip, your left shoulder that little bit higher. Notice how the midsection firms up. Right elbow in towards the thigh, lifting the right shoulder away from your ear. Good, keep breathing. Okay, we're going to windmill back up to warrior two. Strong through the middle, lift. Awesome. Pause here. Loop the shoulders back, so roll your shoulders. Good. Even give the arms a little shake if you need to. Fingertips extend long. Good. And the next time you breathe out, cartwheel your hands down towards the mat. Allow your shoulders and hips to rotate, spiral on your back foot. Push the ground away and step back to your plank. Okay, good. This time you have an option. You can stay on your toes if you wish, or lower to the knees. But you're going to tuck your elbows tight. Exhale and come down all the way to the mat. This time keeping the hands closer to the chest. Point your toes, ripple up for cobra. So the shoulders are a little higher than the first round that we did. While you're here, draw the chest forward. Try and pinch your shoulder blades together, lifting the chin a little bit if that's comfortable. And then breathe out, elbows bend, down to the mat we go. Toes tuck, into tabletop, and lift up to downward facing dog. Good, push back on the heels, enjoy the hamstring stretch here. Take a little walk if you need to. Then we're going to do that same sequence on the left side. So our left toes lift up high to the sky. You can point the toe or flex the foot, whatever comes naturally. Then the left knee to the chest, ripple forwards to your high plank, and step through when you're ready. Allow the hips just that moment to sink down. Good. When you're ready, you're going to breathe in, the fingertips lift. We're up in high lunge. So for the time being, the hips and shoulders are square. You're high up on your back toe. And then we're going to do that 90-degree turn to the right. As that happens, your left knee pushes out, your right heel lowers to the ground, and then you let your arms fall long. Shoulders relaxed, warrior two. Beautiful. So, same thing here. If the strength in the leg allows, come down a little bit lower, but you will be working harder. There's going to be more tension in the leg. So if it's comfortable, if it's manageable, you can come up a little bit higher. We're going to work our way into extended side angle. So the left palm flips up. The elbow comes down towards the knee, and the right hand reaches up and across. So a long diagonal line from your right toes all the way up the side of the body into your right fingertips. Try and create as much distance between those points as you can. Then check in with your left shoulder. Have you found it by your ear, or are you pushing your elbow away? So as much distance from the point of your left elbow to the top of the neck. Keeping the body strong, we're going to windmill our way up to warrior two again. So breathing in, we lift, cartwheeling the hands, back to vertical, long through the fingers. And just check at that point that you haven't pushed away and straightened the leg. Maybe the leg has still got that generous bend. Good, let's make our way back into extended side angle. So rotate your palm, bring the forearm to the knee, right arm lifts up and along, and then we're going to try and lift the shoulders, stack the shoulders here, so we're not sinking into the right side. Let the body do the work. Good, lovely. Strong again, we're going to windmill up, warrior two. Loop the shoulders once you're here, shake the arms out if you need to, then send your fingertips long and wide. Check the bend in the knee. On your next natural out breath, cartwheel down towards the mat. Allow the hips and shoulders time to rotate, spiral on the back foot, step back for plank. Good. Knees or toes is your option. Exhale, elbows bend, down we go. Release the toes once you've found the ground. Hands close to the chest, ripple up for cobra. Good. Think about drawing the elbows towards your hips. lifting the chest. And exhale, soften your way back down. Good. Tuck the toes, come through tabletop, lift the hips, and downward facing dog. Awesome. We have time to pause here for a quick break. So grab a sip of water if you need to. Rest in child's pose. Remember, that's always an option. We have one more section of this energetic part of the flow to go, and then I promise we'll slow things down. So remember, you've got choices throughout. Last time for the right leg, let's lift it up and back. This time bending the knee to bring the heel towards your hips. Squeeze the heel tight towards your butt. Lift your right knee high, so it should open the hips and give you a really nice hamstring stretch on the left. Right knee to chest, ripple forwards to plank, keep the body high, and step through when you're ready. Yes, there we go, cool. Breathe in, high lunge, fingertips lift. On the exhale, we'll open up to warrior two, so that 90-degree turn, arms long. Perfect. We're going to take it into reverse warrior now, and you'll have the option here to add a bind on your left side. I'll show you that when you get there. Reverse warrior, the legs stay in this position, right hand up, left hand down. So you're creating an arch through the side of the body on the right. The option for your left hand, maybe it finds your hips for a bit of support. Maybe you lightly prop it up on your thigh. If you've got a big side bend, it might even come across to your lower leg. For a bind, you can take it behind your lower back and find the top of your right thigh, maybe your hip, maybe a piece of clothing. All right, so this loops the chest a little more. It creates more work for the body though. So if the bind is not for you, keep the left hand, hip, thigh, or lower leg, or the option for the bind. Keep the body where it is, straighten both legs, and we'll find ourselves in reverse triangle. Good, so the option for the bind is still there. You might have to release the thigh a little bit. Rebend your right knee, sink back down, warrior three. Awesome. Strong through the body, return to warrior two, arms horizontal. So we got that lovely cartwheel. Pausing just for a moment in that horizontal position before we continue down all the way to the mat. Take your time as you go from upright down low, spiral on the back toe, step back to plank, and then again, knees or toes is your option to lower down as you exhale. Maybe even you pause halfway where your elbows brush your ribs. And then you can roll over your toes and lift for upward facing dog. So the difference here is your hands are closer to your hips. It's a slightly bigger stretch for the front of the body. Hips and knees are off the ground. But if you prefer, there's cobra with the hips grounded, hands a little further forward, wherever you are. All right, let's breathe out and lower towards the mat. We're going to try a reverse plank this time. So tuck your toes, keep the body straight, straighten the arms and lift. Whoa, muscles. Yes. Then pike your hips and push your heels down. Fantastic. All right. Last round, left side, lift it up and back. Once your toes have reached high, bend the knee to squeeze your heel tight towards your hips. Lifting your left knee, drawing down towards the right ankle, and then left knee to chest. Rolling to plank, the body is high before you step through. Good. Place your foot between your hands. Breathe in and lift. High lunge, fingertips up. Take a moment to catch your breath as you land here before we turn 90 degrees. Back heel to the mat, arms are long, generous bend through the front knee for warrior two. So to take it in reverse warrior, you'll see it from the back this time. Left hand up, right hand down. Option, hip, thigh, lower leg, or the bind. So it depends on how much flexibility your shoulder will allow you today. You've got the option to hold the waist, the hip, or the thigh, but it is a little stronger. So remember, if you need a bit of support from the right hand, take it down towards the leg. In the meanwhile, left shoulder is lifting up towards the ceiling. You can even take your gaze up towards your hand. Keeping the body right where it is. Straighten both legs for a reverse triangle. So this might feel a little bit more challenging for the body. We're just here for a breath before we rebend the left knee, sinking down. Open the arms up, bring them horizontal, warrior two. And then cartwheeling all the way down to the mat. Good, you're still with me. Awesome. Step back for plank. Knees or toes. Bring it down, pause halfway is your option. From there you can roll over the toes, lifting the chest up, upward facing dog, or ground the hips and knees for cobra if that's better for you. Awesome. Breathe out to lower down. Reposition your hands, tuck your toes. Let's get ready for that reverse plank. From the ground, keep the body long, push it away, up. Yes. Pike the hips, pushing the ground away and into downward facing dog. Awesome, you guys have been amazing. So let's take a little pause. Send the knees low and wide. Connect your big toes. Then the hips go back, hands reach forward, chest sinks down. Take the pressure off the arms. You can rest a cheek or your forehead onto the mat. So we're going to pause here for 5 breaths. In this time, bring your attention back into your breathing. Did you remember to breathe throughout those last few poses? You have time to grab a sip of water as well. Maybe it's warm where you are like it is in this little spare room. The temperature definitely builds. All right, 2 more big breaths. Allow the hips to soften. Allow the shoulders to relax. 1 more big breath. And let it go. Awesome. And we're going to journey our way back to downward facing dog. So hands reach forward with you, the arms straighten. Start to lift the hips up. So a little bit of a tabletop position before you tuck your toes. Hips high and the heels are back and down. Take a little walk out if you need to. And then we're going to make our way into a forward fold, using our hands as the guide for where we're going to end up. So take a little bend through the knees, look towards your hands, and you can walk, step, or hop your way to your hands. And once you're there, feet can be a little wider than touching, with the big toes touching. So if you need a little gap between the ankles, you can take that. Soften through the upper body. So with the work that we've done through upward facing dog, through those reverse planks, give the upper body a chance here to relax. So as you let the head hang heavy, it's going to look between your knees. Whether you touch the floor or not, it doesn't matter, just let the arms hang loose. So imagine that all the weight is dropping out of your upper body. You'll notice a stretch through your hamstrings, but if it's comfortable to keep a little bend through the knee, do that. And keep a bit of tension through the front of your thighs so that you're not sinking into your knee joint. Good. Next time you breathe in, we're going to lift into a flat back position. So the hands can stay on the ground or slide up the shins. Draw the lower ribs in, the belly flat, and the back is long and strong. Tucking the chin ever so slightly so you're just looking ahead of your toes with as much space between the crown of your head and all the way down to your tailbone. And then you're going to loop the shoulders back so you'll feel the collarbone lifting and broadening. And then we'll exhale into our forward fold again. Hands down if they reach the ground. Bend in the knees. Let the palms deliberately find the mat this time. And we're going to walk, step or hop into plank. So if you're hopping, take a good bend through the knees and gently step it back. You can do that 1 leg at a time, or if you prefer, step it little baby steps. In your plank, you're high up on your toes. Imagine there's a little fire underneath your belly, so you're lifting your hips just that little bit higher, stronger through the shoulders. And now we're going to rotate to the left. So take your weight through the right hand, allow the feet to become side by side, lift the left side and stack your arms vertically. Good, well done. So again, take care not to sink into the shoulder. You've still got that fire underneath your belly, so push the ground away, reaching high through the fingertips, either looking sideways on or up towards your left hand. 1 more breath here. Stay high through the shoulder, high through the hips. Gently rotate your way down to plank, so let your left hand find the mat. You're coming back onto your toes, drawing up the hips and shoulders again. Be mindful of that little fire. And then we'll turn it towards the right. So rotate through the feet. Right arm starts to lift, taking the weight into the left hand, right fingertips high. And again, the fire is underneath your belly, so you're trying to lift the hips, lift out through the shoulder, take the gaze sideways on or up towards your right fingers if you prefer. 1 more breath here. Roll it down. Let your right hand find the mat. With control, you're coming back on towards your toes. Good. And then again, walk, step or hop into your forward fold. So if you're hopping, push the hips back into a crouch, take a generous bend through the knees and hop forwards, or 1 big step or lots of little steps. Breathing out, we'll soften down, heavy head, heavy arms. Allow the upper body to relax. Hamstring stretch again with a bit of tension through the front of the thighs. So we can use these forward folds Just as a moment to catch our breath, allow the body to just check in again. Halfway lift as you breathe in, long flat back, loop the shoulders away, extending through the back of the neck into the crown of the head, drawing the lower ribs in, loop the shoulder blades back, and breathe out, down we go to the mat. Ready for that plank exercise again. Plant your hands shoulder distance apart. One big step, lots of little steps, or a hop back to plank. Your choice. Good. Once you've found it, start to prepare to roll, opening up the left hand. So pivoting on the feet, bring them side by side. Weight through the right hand, lifting the left. Hips are high, pushing away with the shoulder. Good, well done. One more breath here. Gently start to look to where you're going to place your left hand. So allow the shoulders to rotate, left hand on the mat. Find your plank, lift out through the belly, lift the hips, and then rotate opposite side. Let your feet come side to side. Right arm lifts. The hips are high, the shoulder is high, and you're still breathing. One more breath here. Good. Gently start to look to where you're going to place your right hand. Rolling back down, let your right hand find the mat. Come back onto both sets of toes again. Lift out through the hips, lift high through the shoulders, and then again, walk, step or hop your hands towards your mat, your feet towards your hands even. Come back to a crouch if you need to. Forward we go. Up. Good. From here, good news is we're going to sink the hips all the way down, big bend through the knees. Place your hands behind your hips to help, and come to sit. Oh, it's been a long time since we've been here. Well done. Grab a quick sip of water. Okay, so for the boat pose variation this week, we're going to work on leg extensions. So we've just given the hamstrings a lovely stretch in those sequences of forward folds. We've woken up the core through the planks that we've done as well. Now we're going to put the two together. So find your sit bones, sit up really nice and tall, draw the lower ribs in, broaden the collarbone, and then initially slide the fingertips just behind the knees for a bit of balance. With the tiniest lean back, you'll come onto your toes, your hips will be off the ground. We'll make a start with a right leg. Right leg on its own, lift, and if it's manageable, extend all the way straight. Good, all right, so your left toes are helping with balance, right leg is straight. Abdominal muscles working, right quadricep muscles working. If you need to, you can reach your right hand forward, just hook it behind the calf or behind the ankle. This will help a bit with balance too. Then we're gonna open up left side. So left hands reach long. Notice how it starts to affect your balance. If you're feeling brave, you can hover your left toes off the mat, maybe even bring the shin parallel to the ground. Good, that's it. Now, are you slouching or are you sitting tall? The latter is the preferred option. So think about the lifting out through the collarbone, sitting up really nice and tall. Good, well done. Come back to center, maybe your left toes stay up, maybe they come down. Swap your grip. This time your right hand comes to the inside of your right ankle. So you'll have a little bit of an internal rotation of the shoulder. Then we'll open up again. Might feel a little bit different. Testing balance a little bit more. It's going to be a bit of a shift for your center of gravity. Left toes are on the mat, or they're hovering just off, or the shin is parallel. But we're trying to sit as tall as possible. Good, awesome. Return to center, slide the hands behind the knees, take a moment for the toes to find the mat. Sit tall, roll the shoulders if you need to, take a little wriggle if the lower back is feeling a bit stiff. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So initially the hands are still behind the knees. This time it's the left leg which starts to lift and extend. So hamstring stretching, quadriceps working, hip flexors and abdominal muscles working. Take a reach forward with the left hand. Maybe it finds the back of the shin or the ankle, whatever's in range with you. Still sitting tall. Good. Open up the right hand, turn to the side as you find the twist. And then if you're feeling brave, you can hover your right toes off the mat. Maybe they lift off entirely. Maybe you bring the shin parallel to the ground. So this is our balance exercise as well as our core exercise. Think about broadening through the chest. You're long and strong. Return to the front. You can hook the hands behind the knees if you need to, but we're going to take the left hand and alternate the grip to the inside of the left ankle or the left calf. So again, we've got that internal rotation of the shoulder. When you're ready, open back up again, sideways on. Notice how it makes the balance a little more challenging. It's just set you back a little bit. Same options for the right toes. They're either on the mat, they're hovering, or the shin is parallel. Your arms are as long and straight as you can get them whilst you remember to breathe. Gently return back to center, hands behind the knees, toes find the mat. Take a moment to bring the shoulders over the knees if you need to. Have a little wriggle, have a quick sip of water. And I've got one more challenge for you. Coming back to boat, this time hands behind the knees, you're up on your toes, sit tall, both legs together, lift, pause halfway, and if you're ready, see if you can find the extension with both legs. If you wish, you can walk your hands up the calves, stay tall, look over the top of your toes, lift your chin ever so slowly, it'll help with balance. You can loop the shoulders back, broaden over the collarbone, yes, and if you're feeling really strong today, you've got the option to release your hands, sending your fingertips in the direction of your ankles. 3, and 2, and 1. Bring it all down to the mat, well done. Loop the shoulders over the knees, give yourself a big squeeze, a congratulatory hug, and we'll make our way onto our back. Final exercise for us today. Take your time, ease it down, use your arms, use your elbows, lie down, find comfort, bring your heels close towards your hips. If you can brush the ankles with the back of your fingertips, you'll be in about the right position. Now your toes are going to face the front edge of your mat, so just watch out if they naturally tend to turn wide. And then your knees and hips and feet are all the same distance apart. Pulling your belly button in, flatten your lower back against the mat, have your hands palms down on the ground, and then with a little tilt of the tailbone, so tuck your tailbone, start to peel the hips and lower back off the mat. Come up a little higher, hamstrings and glutes start to work. Come up a little higher if you need to wriggle your shoulders so it's comfortable, you can do that. So we'll come in a diagonal line from hips up to the knees, hips down to the shoulders. This is your bridge pose. Now the options for you is that you can hold this pose on its own. This may well be challenging enough for the thighs, for the hips. If you want a slightly different focus, with control, lift your right heel so you come onto your toes, lower the right heel, lift the left, and then alternate, keep swapping around. So you might find that it's a nice smooth lift on the way up. It's a little bit jerky on the way down. And those tremblings that you get, it's just the muscles trying to figure out what you're asking them to do. It's like, I know I need to stay in control, but you're also asking me to relax. So they sort of fight against each other a little bit. It's okay, they're learning. If you've already got it nice and smooth, maybe your body's used to this kind of exercise already. As you go from your heel lifts, maybe try toe lifts. It'll be a much smaller movement. So just think about peeling your toes up off the floor. Maybe the ball of the foot lifts, maybe a centimeter, maybe a little bit more. You might notice the muscles either side of your shins start to work a little harder. And as you do that, just check that the hips haven't started to sink down. If the lower back is starting to get a little fussy, think about tucking your tailbone a little more. So you almost try and squeeze your ribs towards your hips, shortening the front of the body rather than lifting from the chest. Whatever you're working with, heel lifts, toe lifts, just balance out, make sure that you're doing an even number on both. And then with control, lower down, using the upper back initially, and the mid back, keeping the hips curled up, lower back. Eventually the hips come down, bring the knees up in towards your chest, give yourself a big squeeze. You can keep your head, neck and shoulders on the floor, or if you prefer, curl up into an even smaller ball, and then gently bring them back down towards the mat. Take a little rock side to side, bringing movement into the lower back and hips. Nice. Gently bring your feet back towards the mat alongside your hips. And then as you windscreen wipe your knees side to side, keep the movement in the knees, but gradually wriggle your toes so that your legs become straighter and straighter, and eventually all the way straight. So any last adjustments you need now, maybe another sip of water. Any fidgets for clothing, do that. Take a wriggle, take a little scratch of that itch which has been annoying you. And then eventually find stillness. Bring your palms alongside your hips, face up. Legs can eventually fall out towards the side. You might notice a little bit of vibration or energy traveling through the legs, especially after bridge pose. There's been elements of today's practice which have maybe been a little bit more challenging, and if it's pushed you out of your comfort zone, you should be really, really proud of yourself because you didn't give up. If you needed to tweak or adjust a pose or take an option, know that that's your prerogative and you are absolutely allowed to do that. And if you remember to breathe, well done. Allowing the eyes to fall closed now, the shoulders, the hips, the legs to fall heavy. Come back into your breathing. And see if maybe it feels a little bit different to the start of the class. Maybe there was a degree of expectation. Now just let it be. Just enjoy it. It should come naturally. It should just have a rhythm of its own. And in these last few moments of your relaxation, I'll give you a really short reading from BKS Iyengar. He's arguably one of the founders, the forefathers of yoga, and certainly the founder of Iyengar yoga as a type of yoga in itself. And he has this beautiful little reading which he says, yoga is like music, the rhythm of the body, the melody of the mind, and the harmony of the soul coming together to create the symphony of life. How awesome is that? The symphony of life. So bringing together your body, your mind, your soul, a connection of all three crucial elements to complete your symphony. When you're ready, take a couple of deeper breaths. So really fill every corner of your lungs and then let it go. Empty out everything, get rid of it. Another big breath. Fill up every inch of your lungs and let it go. Beautiful. Wriggle your fingers and toes. Bring a little bit of movement back into your hands and feet. You can take a full body stretch or squeeze into another tight ball if that feels good for you. When you're ready, rolling up onto your side and slowly up to sitting. There's no rush whatsoever. If you prefer to stay on your back for a moment longer, you can do that too. And we're going to end the class in a very similar position to where we started with. So find an easy, comfortable seat of your choice. Find your connection again, your foundation, a little bit of firmness through the middle, lift up tall, crown of the head is high, elbows draw down, shoulders relax. And we're going to finish just by bringing the hands together in the center of the chest. I'm going to take a little lean forward as an expression of gratitude from me to you. Thank you so much for joining in today. It is always an absolute pleasure to see your faces, but give yourself a big thank you and rewarding well done as well. Boys and girls, you have been incredible. Have a wonderful Tuesday.